Hello and welcome to the second video in the series of building a quarter scale T-Rex. After completing all 20 pieces of the T-Rex, I marked all the pieces with lines or letters to show where each piece fits together. I also checked every single piece to make sure they fit perfectly together. Here I'm placing a few drops of black acrylic paint on one half of the back section. And when I bring the two halves together, I have exact points marked to drill for the zinc rods. These will help hold the T-Rex together. After drilling for the threaded rods, I drill a number of small 3/16 holes to act as an additional key for the Bondo, which will be used to glue the parts together. After drilling both sides, I go over the mating surfaces with a small hand sander using 60 grit paper, and then on any rough areas on the edges I use a coarse file to remove the excess plastic. It's very important to make sure you cover every area with sanding. Make sure any grease or any dirt is removed, and you rough up the surface slightly to give good adhesion with the Bondo. Here I'm using a low expansion foam applied to the holes drilled for the rods. Very carefully, just applying a minimal amount. If you put too much in, it could expand and crack the print, or it could push the parts apart as you glue them together. So be very careful in applying just a minimum amount of foam to hold the rods in place. This foam takes about 15 to 20 minutes to set, and so you've got plenty of time to put the rods in and apply the Bondo, which is going to produce a nice strong adhesive, before these rods set into place. Because the Bondo I use to glue these parts together goes off very quickly, I mix just enough to do each part. I use little sticks that I get from Amazon.com. I think they're called popsicle sticks, and just throw them away after use. When applying the Bondo, I just apply it to one side, spreading it as evenly as possible, pushing it into the holes, and I put about a 1/16 to an eighth of an inch thickness over the entire area, leaving the edges last 1/4 of an inch clear to allow for some super glue to go around the edges. Before putting the two halves together, I apply a little bit of foam in the holes on the remaining side, just enough to fill the hole but no more. Align the holes on each side with the rods and push them firmly together. Wiggle them about a little bit to make sure that the Bondo has an even spread on both sides. I use a lot of pressure to push those together. This tape is amazing. It's an aluminum tape which will conform to the irregularities of the two parts, and it holds really, really well. I normally place about 3 or 4 pieces of tape on each part, and it's probably a good idea to have the tape pre-cut ready for when you get to this stage. as that Bondo goes off extremely quickly and you don't want to be left with the Bondo going off before you tape it together. Here I'm using superglue, very thin superglue, to run down the joint, just to give an added security and added strength to the join. I also do this during and after the filling process, where I disguise the joints with Bondo and other fillers. I also use superglue to go over those joints as well at the same time. On some of the larger pieces I used little clamps, little Harbor Freight clamps. Not 100% necessary, but in this particular case I used it just to hold the two large pieces together. That's pretty much the process I use for joining all the 20 parts together for the T-Rex. Very simple, straightforward. And the next video will be the filling process, how I fill and hide all the joints. So we hope to see you there. Take care.